In this current season of Rainbow Six, EMP grenades were just introduced, meaning it is now much harder to keep those reinforced walls closed. But it turns out there is a way to counter the EMP grenades that not a lot of people know of, I think, because people still think Thatcher is useless now, and people are still not banning him for some maps, but I think he's actually still a decent ban on a lot of maps, and this video is going to explain why Thatcher is still good, and how to use Cade to counter these pesky EMP grenades, and Bandit as well. There's more than one way to counter them, so we're going to go over those and just learn how to keep these walls shut still, even with the introduction of the EMP grenades this season. So the first thing we can do to keep a wall shut, if it's a very important wall like the CCTV wall in Clubhouse, you can use both claws to keep it shut. And the way you would do that is, firstly, you can either do like some invincible claws where you put one on each side, and then when they EMP the wall, they are... well, that was horrible. Try this again. So you can do invincible Cades like this, where you put one on each side, and then when they EMP the middle of the wall, the range isn't going to be far enough to get either of the Cades. So if they're just EMPing in the middle, hoping to get the claw, they're not going to get them unless they drone them out, ping them, and then EMP them that way. The second option, and the one I prefer just because it's easier and you can actively trick at the same time, is putting one Cade claw on each top side of the wall. If you want to make it even more difficult and more precise, then you can back them up a little farther and get just the corner to get to, so they have to even like get the side choice right and be even more accurate. So you can do that as well. This one obviously I can't grab anymore, so if you want you can put a little down just so you can pick them up and move them afterwards, which is also nice. But if you do it this way and they do get EMP'd, like let's say they EMP the bottom one but not the top one, I can then pick up this bottom one and throw it back down to reset it quicker than it would reset by just letting the EMP timer run out. Now actively, if they don't drone these out and don't know where the Cade claws are, they're just going to throw an EMP in the middle hoping to get it, or at the bottom, or two at the bottom, or they're just going to be throwing EMPs hoping they get both correct guesses. So it makes it a little more complex for them to get them, and if you really wanted to, you could even do like some side ones like this, and like one on this side, which is another option. So they have to basically guess 2 out of the 4 possible spots right if they don't drone it ahead of time. That's where mute comes in really handy. You can put a mute jammer on the drone hole. You can even stack another mute jammer here, so you have the mute and the Cade, so it works the same way. They have to use 2 EMPs, and then you've just got the wall closed much easier. Try to EMP the wall. Use both your EMPs. Try to get the Cades. There you go. Still shut. Still electrified. You can't open my wall, bitch! So this direct counter of actively tricking the wall with Cade, or just placing them and leaving them and hoping they don't drone it, or like waiting for the drone, shoot the drones, so that they have to guess, is a great way to counter the EMP gadget. A nice part about these invincible Cades as well is that Cali can't get them, so if they are going for the Cali'd wall, then these Cades will work well because the Cali lance won't actually get them off. So the side-by-side Cades are also really good. It's just mainly for the very important walls that you definitely want to try to keep shut, or if you have a wall that's more important than another, then you could use the Cades in this fashion, the invincible fashion, to make it so Cali can't get it, it's harder to find with the EMPs, etc. The only counter really is Thatcher in that circumstance. Hey guys, Pox from the future here. I just realized I didn't talk about Maverick through this entire video. So, of course, you can use Maverick to counter all of this. You can just Maverick the wall soft, sledge it open, or Zofia it open. And that's obviously the best counter to any Cade trick, Bandit trick, mute trick, whatever they're doing with the wall, because his blowtorch counters literally everything. So that is the one exception to all of this stuff, is Maverick will just be the counter. So there you go. The other thing about the EMP gadget is it's a much shorter timer than Thatcher's EMPs. Thatcher's EMPs, I believe, are 15, whereas the EMP gadget is 8 or 9 seconds. Maybe it's even 7. I don't know exactly. But I know that the EMP gadget is a lot shorter. Short enough that if you EMP both Cade claws and you're using Ace to open the wall, the Cade claws will actually reset before that second layer of the Ace charge goes off. So you'll only get a line of sight through the wall rather than that vaultable hole that you were hoping for. So that's another thing about Thatcher, is if you just throw 2 EMPs, 2 Thatcher EMPs that is, You can get a Cade, you can get a Cade if he's tricking. There's so much you can do and keep it so complex that way that it's just a much better option. It's a much safer option, just double EMP that wall with Thatcher and then definitely get the wall. The other benefits of bringing Thatcher too is that you can EMP above ADSs from the roof or Midas to clear that stuff for your team if they want to go for a nade. So let's say you have a player playing in the red hole and there's a rotate here and some head holes and they're playing here, but they have a couple ADSs. If you know that the ADSs are there with a drone or an IQ or whatever, you can actually EMP from the roof, deactivate these ADSs, and then throw your grenade in from the breach or from the construction wall door over here, throw it through the rotate, and those ADSs are just going to be disabled, not work, and then you got to shoot yourself a free kill too. So Thatcher's gadget actually has more variety than those EMP grenades. So instead of just being, oh, I can get a mute jammer, it's, oh, I can get Cade Claws, I can get bandits, I can get ADSs. There's so much that Thatcher can do. So ruling him out as useless is definitely just not how it should be. Another thing about the shortness of the EMPs is Thermite will get his Thermite off before the Cade Claw resets, or the bandits, or the mute, or whatever. Hibana's will take a little too long, as well as Ace's second tier charge. So Hibana's, you won't even get a single line of sight. Ace's, you will get that first tier, but with Thermite, that's the way to actually fully avoid the Cade Claw if you are just relying on your EMP gadgets. So we'll set up these same sort of counter EMP Cade Claws as before, and then we'll see what happens when the wall is Thatcher's, because it will get both of these, and the reset time will be much longer. So then with the Thatcher EMP, you can tell it gets both right away. And then with the timer here at the bottom left, you can see how much longer it is actually delayed for. So this would allow you to, open up the entire wall with Ace, Hibana, Thermite. Any hard breacher is going to be much more effective on this wall now. And plus, you don't have to struggle to drone out those Cade Claws before you actually go for it. So now let's try the same thing, but if I'm trying to trick it. So let's say I have a Cade Claw on the wall, and with an EMP gadget, they might EMP this, or they might, if I put it in the bottom, they might EMP that. But if I trick it actively, I can usually get that second one down before the wall actually opens up from that hard breacher, if I see that EMP go off. So this tricking method is a really good way to avoid the EMPs, but with Thatcher, if you're trying to trick in a double EMP, it's not going to work. So as you can see, he double EMPs. Even if I'm throwing this Cade Claw down, he's just going to EMP it again, and then they're going to open this wall. I could keep picking it up and keep trying, but by that point, the wall's already going to be open. Whereas with the EMP gadget, if they try to do this while I'm actively tricking, they have to get the exact right spot that I'm going to throw the Cade at. Because if I'm tricking it, I can throw it up here, I can throw it to the right, to the left, to the bottom, to the top, wherever, and they'd have to know exactly where I'm throwing it and communicate that while EMPing at the same time, and that is just a very complex thing to do that most people probably won't. And then finally, we have bandit tricking. Now, most people know how to bandit trick, but a lot of people don't, so we'll just talk about it really quick, and we'll talk about how bandit tricking works and how you should actually think about it to understand it a little bit better. So, firstly, if you're bandit tricking EMP grenades or Thatcher grenades, it does not matter. The only thing, again, is that if they're playing Ace and they EMP grenade it, the full Ace charge won't go off because these will reset on their own. If you're the one playing the bandit, however, and you are actively bandit tricking, so placing another battery as the other ones are EMP'd to reset the electricity on the wall, then there's a couple things you should know ahead of time. Firstly, Ace charges. It is a little harder to get the Ace charges, but if you are already have the battery out and you're ready to trick it, you should be able to get it before it even goes off the first level. Hibanas are much easier. Even if they've already started exploding, you can throw that bandit battery down and get them. So whether it's an EMP gadget or a Thatcher, you can still bandit trick the exact same way. This is another just simple way to counter the EMP gadgets, is if you just spread them out all the way. Because if they hit it in the middle or at the top or whatever, I don't think it gets it. We'll have to try that out actually after. So that's a very easy way to trick the wall, even if you're getting EMP'd / Thatchered. You can just do that, get the Thermite, get the Ace, get the whatever. The Aces are a little tougher, but you can still do it. Okay, so my friend's on the other side of the wall. He's going to throw the EMP gadget right here, and we're going to see if it gets these bandit charges. It doesn't. It doesn't. So you can do this. You can spread your bandits out all the way to the far sides of the wall, and if they don't drone it and throw the EMP right here, that's another great way to just counter those EMP gadgets. Now, even if they do one, you can then just actively trick that side because you know they have to go for that side. So if they miss the first one on the middle and then decide to go for one of the edges, just get ready to trick that side because that's the only side they can go for at that point. So that's a very easy way to counter the EMP gadgets as well. So you don't even need Cade. If Cade's banned, you can still use Bandit for it. That's fucking cool, because I didn't know that either, so there you go. So anyway, guys, that's about it. That's how you can keep the wall shut in the modern era of Rainbow Six Siege. Now, personally, I'm not a huge fan of just, like, the keep the wall shut meta. That's a very, like, gold plat thing that you would see a lot in those ranks. Once you get to like the higher diamond champ ranks, a lot of time you don't even need the wall denial. Maybe you'll just throw a mute jammer down just to force them to have to bring the EMPs or something, but you can play it from outside the breach. As long as you're not actively peeking this breach and getting aggressive on these guys, you can hold their push in very safely, just like this. You can deny the plant with a nitro very easily, just like this. So there's multiple ways to do it. You can sit and hide behind the bomb, force them to come to the window or nade you out, or just hold angles from red hall. You know, there's a lot of different areas where you can hold the walk in through the breach, and having it shut isn't necessary because most of the time they are going to work hard enough to open it up. So learn to play with the breach open, and then you won't have to rely on keeping the breach shut. That's it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments, and you can still ban Thatcher. He's still a good pick, but really, it's a little more map dependent now. Peace out!